I love you.
Well, welcome back, Couch Potatoes. Glad to have you back, even though there's not much room on the couch with all these damn Dalmatians everywhere.
I know, so many fucking dogs.
And they're loud as shit, too, always yapping. I am the Green Traveler. I'm happy to have you back.
And I am the Faceless Leon. I'm less thrilled, but hey, you're here. No, happy to be back. Happy to be back. Talking a very similar story to something we did earlier this summer, and really just like last week, according to our recording schedule. 101 Dalmatians.
Hell yeah. The original where Cruella came from this. And, actually watching it. Well, I meant like,
a novel,
this is. Yeah, I know. I'm saying that this is where Cruella came from, though. Like, nobody read the fucking novel by, who was it, by Dodie Smith.
Somebody had to read it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have adapted it.
I'm sure it was popular. I mean, it was a 1956 novel, and this came out in 1961. So it was very popular, I would assume, in the 50s. Yeah, like, people must have liked it. Or maybe Walt Disney just enjoyed it. Maybe it was just Walt's sick sense of humor. But since this animation came out, nobody's read that fucking novel. It's just been this animation and now Cruella. And having watched this animation, I actually understand why they went with Cruella as the next villain to explore, because there really is no origin for her in this. There's just, she's just a friend.
There's not. There is a lot more in the novels, but it would definitely have not made it a great kids movie. I did a little bit of research because I was curious of, since they did this thing with Emma Stone where they went in depth with this with a story for her, but obviously what they come up with is made up. And as we talked about in that episode, is to make you sympathize with that character. But in the novel, she is just as twisted. However, they give you a pretty horrific backstory.
Oh, no.
Yeah, as to why she might be like that. For one thing, so in the novel, I want to say alluded to, but I don't think that's quite right. It's in the novel. A relative that had the DeVille name, her ancestor, was suspected of being a serial killer. Now, a lot of fans, a lot of people who have read the book anyways, believe that it was her grandfather. So she grew up in the house while this was going on. And,
shit.
Yeah. And they also talk about her and Anita at school a little bit more than in any of the film adaptations. Right. The newer one kind of has a nice chunk of that.
Was Anita in it? In the new one?
In the new one, yeah. Yeah, she was the one.
Oh, wow.
I was going to say she was played by Simone from The Good Place, but I know you haven't seen that, so.
Yeah, I didn't even connect that Anita was part of the story, honestly.
Yeah, she was. She was the journalist. But anyhow, in the novel, they talk about how everyone was super afraid of her as a kid, but she was just strange. And she had two pigtails, one white, one black. So,
nice.
I don't know if they're trying to say that it's her natural hair color like they do in the new movie, but she also gets expelled from school for drinking ink.
Ew.
Yeah, and there's also all these, things that talk about, her weird habits, every room in her house has a raging fire in the fireplace, because I guess she's always cold or she wants to be surrounded by flames.
That's nice. I mean, I would like that, yeah.
Yeah, but she also has all her food prepared with a shit ton of black pepper. And some people think that it's an allusion to her being descendant from a devil, which there's a description from a dog about one of her ancestors, probably that same person that was suspected of being a serial killer, as being having devil-like proportions or properties like tails and horns and stuff, but it's like in the book it's told from a dog who probably heard it from like a long line of dogs. So it's probably like, you know, like folklore telephone kind of thing going on. But there's a lot of things in the novel that are interesting, from what I've read.
I might actually read the novel. It actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty entertaining. I love the portrayal of Cruella de Vil and what they do with her in the animation. She is brilliant, just as brilliant as Emma Stone was in the Cruella movie. You know, the as you're talking about that friendship with Anita, it just feels kind of off and weird, but at the same time very realistic. Like one of my favorite authors is Margaret Atwood, and it feels like a Margaret Atwood styled friendship where
just opposites attract.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know why you two like each other. You're so very contentious and always like starting fights amongst each other. And yet here you are like just coming over for tea and, you know, chatting, hanging out, going out for coffee or whatever. Doesn't make sense. But that is how this movie opens up it technically opens up with Roger finding Anita, which I wanted to open up with fuck Zelda for not being as good of a girl, as a pet as Pongo is for Roger. Like Roger's just, Pongo's just sitting out a window and he's like, man, my human's lonely. He's sad.
I'm bored all the time.
I'm bored. He's always writing music. He doesn't give a damn. And it's just like, I'm gonna find him a woman. He's looking outside, and I love that scene where he's looking at all the dogs, and he's just like, no, too small, too short, too, too old, too young. I love that. But then he sees a beautiful Dalmatian.
Perdita.
Thank you. I actually had forgotten her name.
Perdita is voiced by Kate Bauer, I believe her name is. And Pongo, the main character, it's definitely told from the perspective of Pongo, he's narrating, is Rod Taylor. And yeah, we mentioned everybody else, so I'll just go on through with Roger being Ben Wright, and Anita, Lisa Davis, and Cruella de Vil, brilliant, played by Betty Lau Gerson, who also is Miss Birdwell in the movie, but I don't remember who that is.
Yeah, I don't remember that. She might be the maid, maybe.
Well, Nanny is just named Nanny.
Oh, okay, never mind then. But
Martha Woodward.
Pongo goes out. He forces Roger to take him for a walk, which is a very common thing Zelda does for me. And I'm assuming garlic for you. And on that walk, Pongo is very adamant and forces Roger and Anita to meet, and they fall in love through their own natural charm and good whimsical will. Yeah. And it's beautiful. And, fuck Zelda for never having that gusto to, help me out. Like, Jesus. Like,
I think
all she does is bark at women.
I think Zelda and Garlic really might be too nervous around other dogs to make a situation like that happen.
Zelda goes to the dog park enough. Like she is okay with dogs her size. Yeah, if they're her size, she's okay with them, and if they're not forcing themselves into her space and like constantly like getting into her face, she'll be okay with them. But, once she sees, if a human is just like, oh, look at this cute dog, and is like, I'm going to come up and pet, and she's just like, okay. And then she starts barking for the next 10 minutes, and she won't stop. Yeah, she's not good at meeting new people.
Wow, Garlic is the exact opposite. She will, any person, she'll jump on you a little bit, but if you distract her enough for her to calm down, then she's just like, wow, I love that this new person is here. But other dogs, man, she just, any animal. This girl chases birds, and I'm like, you're never going to catch the bird. Even if you weren't on a leash, you're not going to catch that bird.
Right.
Then she caught a baby bird the other day. So who am I to say?
Exactly. She caught one. And when they're just precious and juicy. But that's how this movie starts. Roger meets Anita. They fall in love. They come to, I guess they marry. I don't know if we don't see them marry, and that basically marries Perdita and Pongo, who themselves have a litter of like 13 odd puppies. or 15.
It's 15. Yeah,
it's 15. Yeah. You know, impressive litter. Pretty good job for Perdita, who never once looked pregnant throughout the entire film. And especially the one time where it was like, we're 2 weeks away from having kids. And, you know, and they just show her and she's just like cowering underneath the kitchen sink because Cruella was there.
Yeah. I think in Cruella, one of the dogs get pregnant and they're like, Genghis is looking kind of fat there, or something like that. But Genghis was a girl.
Which reminds me, there is a fat one of the 15 puppies is a fat little thing named Rolly.
Yeah.
And why is he always the fuck up? Like like what are they trying to say? What's their message there?
I don't know. Don't be fat and lazy, I guess.
I guess like every single. That's honestly like I have no issues with this movie at all, so I had to find like tiny little nitpicks to complain about. And that was one of them, is that whenever there is an issue, whenever something happens that puts the other puppies in danger, it's always because of the fat one. It's always because of Rolly.
Because of Rolly. Wow, I didn't honestly notice that. Is it Lucky or yeah, I think it is. Patches is like the one that's like kind of a little surly.
Patchy.
But Lucky's the one who's always blocking the TV. And he does seem like he kind of gets them in trouble a little bit sometimes, too. Especially...
Once. There's one moment, yeah.
Okay, yeah, with Horace and Jasper. And I gotta say, this Horace and Jasper... I like them less than the other Horace and Jaspers.
Yeah, they're not as fun. They still are... Yeah, they still are comedic, but they're not as fun.
Yeah.
And so it kind of takes that bite away from them.
Yeah, particularly Jasper, who is played by J. Pat O'Malley, who also plays the Colonel dog. You remember the Colonel in the barn?
Is he the one with the loud... Oh, wait, no, is he the like sheepdog kind of thing?
Yeah, the shaggy dog,
yeah. That's the one I think Ronvald would be if he were a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That or a Newfoundland.
He would definitely be more Newfoundlandish, but he would have the personality of the Colonel.
Oh, sure.
I would say.
Yeah. Anyhow, I do also like how in this movie, like in all the other interpretations, Horace is clearly just a step under Jasper in the intelligence game. But in this one, Horace actually is smarter than Jasper, but Jasper's such a bully, and Horace has less confidence that he just like holds his tongue and shit. Even though he's like, well, he like they disguise themselves, right? The dogs do. Like, which, you know, dogs wouldn't think to do that. But Horace somehow sees through it and is like, I think that might be them there. And Jasper's like, those are Labradors.
Well, I mean, you also have to look at it from the realistic perspective that he is dumb enough to think that dogs would be smart enough to disguise themselves, when in reality, dogs would not disguise themselves. You know, they don't think with sight, they think with smell.
This is true, but there are other things though. There are other things that Horace points out and Jasper just ignores, and I think that it's hilarious that he's actually a little bit more observant than Jasper is.
Yeah, it is a good dynamic, and I'd like that it's different because, you know, again, as we've said, it's become more of a comedic, like they're just like they're the comedic relief. They come in, it's like, yeah, Cruella wants to kill puppies and make them into coats, you know, that's terrible, but her goons are pretty funny, right? Like,
yeah. Oh man, she's awful. She is straight awful in this movie. I mean, even the Glenn Close character is extremely awful.
I mean, even Emma Stone's character is also awful, but she's awful in a different way. Like, I'm fairly certain they're going forward with the sequel to it.
Yeah, it seems like
it's doing well enough that they're going to. So I'm curious if they continue to go the animation route where she slaughters puppies, and then I hate the first one for making me sympathize with a puppy killer.
I hope not, because I've really enjoyed the new character, but then also what the hell are they going to do? What story are they have they set up with the Roger and Anita in that movie.
The serial killing grandpa.
That's well, see though her well, I don't want to spoil that movie. Never mind. I was gonna say something.
With the animation, even Cruella's entrance, you're set up to hate this character because Roger clearly does not like her. Roger is like, I don't know why she's coming over. I don't know why you keep inviting this person. She is evil. She is vile. She is
Cruella de Vil.
Cruella de Vil. I love it.
If she doesn't scare you.
Oh, yeah. Then nobody will. Yeah, it's great, and I love him going up there, and up to his music studio and playing music really loudly while she's there, just to completely piss her off. I love that dynamic. I love that she just comes over. She is Anita's friend that he just hates, and he's just I want to do everything to get rid of this because I didn't pick up on that as a kid.
No, yeah, I definitely didn't pick up on it as a kid. But it's also a very realistic dynamic.
Yeah.
I feel like most relationships, there's just one person in that in your, I guess I'll say significant other, but I think it works in friendships too. There's always one person that you just don't get why this person is in your other person's life. And,
right. Why they're attached.
Yeah. And, I don't think that they're all these people that I'm mentioning are Cruella de Vil's by any means. They just don't jive with the person in question.
There's no chemical bond. You don't have good chemistry with them.
Yeah.
And in your eyes, they are not at all suitable for what you want from your friend's life.
Right.
I totally get that, and that is completely how Cruella de Vil is. And as a kid, I just kind of thought Anita worked for her or something that she was forced to be in a relationship with this person.
That's how it is in the Glenn Close movie. And it does feel right. I feel like without them having a chapter or two or whatever it is in the book where Anita talks about their childhood together, I feel like the storyline that she's her employee that she really likes for some reason, it makes more sense. I feel like that's more realistic because Anita is she doesn't even have a name in the novel. Neither does Roger. They're just the Dearleys. Yeah. And they're married beforehand. That whole romantic thing that's really iconic for the story now doesn't even happen in the novel. And in fact, Pongo and Perdita are Pongo and Mrs. Pongo.
How original. I'm starting to like the book less a little bit.
Just a little bit. But the fact that they go into Cruella more, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And that does make me want to read it. She's an ink drinker. I don't know why that intrigues me.
I do like the romantic ad though at the beginning. I think this ending the intro at the beginning. The introduction to this movie, the first 10 minutes or so, is fucking perfect.
Even the opening credits.
Yeah, all the way through Cruella's entrance and far beyond too, but especially up through her entrance. I love every second of it. It is so enrapturing. You're immediately drawn in with the Cruella de Vil song too. When she comes in, you're like, that gets under your skin. It really sets her up to be a great villain.
Yeah.
And, the dog cycling through all the love interests in that opening scene. And his voice. Who's the voice of Pongo again?
Pongo is Rod Taylor.
Rod Taylor, yeah, and he's got a perfect narrating voice. It is just it's just a calm drawl, and that's what I love most about this movie. Is everything just progresses calmly. Yeah. There's so much chaos. There's dogs getting kidnapped and escaping, and 101 dogs running through this cold environment to find home. There's so much chaos and drama. Yeah. But it's just told calmly. It just everything unfolds. There's no severe, crazy loud soundtrack or anything accompanying this. It's just
when
sinister.
Cruella is
and
driving,
calm.
there sure is.
Yeah. That's very fair.
Crazy. I love it when the car like falls apart and there's just like jets of fire coming out of the engine block.
Dude, I don't understand like how she survives that too. Like she's just like laying in the ground, like clearly the whole thing just like fell apart around her and she's okay. And it's like, all right, I don't get it, but all right, she's fine. Miracles happen.
I guess that's part of the novel too, that she's a horrendous driver.
Yeah, they just couldn't figure out how to like push her off a cliff and just have her fall like all the other Disney villains. Like they don't want to kill on screen, so they can't figure it out. So they just had to show her just sitting in the rubble, like, wow, I'm so pissed.
Yeah, damn it, I didn't get my illegal furs from my cute little puppies.
Also, as a kid, 101 Dalmatians, for whatever reason, even now as an adult, this is the one film of the Silver Age, by the way, that I've seen multiple times.
Right.
Like this, I loved this movie.
It's a good movie.
And I love the live actions. I've seen it multiple times too. But when I hear 101 Dalmatians, even though I've seen it a lot, for whatever reason, I still think that that's the litter size, is that she has 101 Dalmatians. I'm like, there's no fucking way. How do they make that work? Yeah. And then I remember, like, a few minutes in, it's like, oh, right, it's a very small amount, and they find the rest of them at Cruella de Vil's headquarters, her, like, creepy house kind of thing.
So she wants puppies because their fur is soft.
Make the best coats.
Yeah, so she needs a whole bunch of them because they're small. And that's just the fucking worst. I hate her.
It really is. That's why, I hate Cruella, the live action Emma Stone movie. I hate it if she goes up to skin puppies and turn their fur into coats. Like, if she does that, fuck her, and fuck that movie for making me feel bad for her.
Yeah, right? Like, if they do that in the second movie, I will also be very upset. Because I think having it alluded to was better. I do. For what they were trying to do with the character anyways.
It's very similar. Like, I know we mentioned it on that episode, and this is just kind of becoming a second review for Cruella a bit. But like it very much is like the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, where you watch that movie, you do feel sympathy for his character, but in the back of your mind, you remember who the Joker is, how much terror he's caused, and it's like, man, if this guy really does become that, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he kind of does become that. Not to the extent of the comic books or anywhere near that, but he still does have that maliciousness that makes you wonder, am I pissed at this movie for making me feel sympathy for this kind of a character?
Right.
And, that's all brought back when I watch this animation. I'm just like, man, does it piss me off? Like, I'm still in that gray area where I recommend it to people.
Yeah, it was a fun watch.
But there's still a part of me that's like, I'm prepared to hate this movie any second now.
So, is there anything else we need to say about 101 Dalmatians?
No. I think we've covered all that I wanted to talk about.
I mean, I think the Twilight Bark being like a gossip column in a newspaper is kind of funny.
That is great. Yeah. There's good ideas. There's a lot of good ideas that are
a dog. Like if the world from the perspective of dogs, there's some really funny stuff in there. Like the humans are all pets and shit like that. It's funny.
Yeah. And it's 6 years after Lady and the Tramp, so I wonder if they, if they got like feedback from that and we're just like, we should go with more of these ideas that we were setting up there and expand upon them, make them a bigger kind of, not a mythos, but like a bigger world to how the dogs see things.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job. Like, I fucking love it. Like,
I like both. And you know what? Honestly, I'll say right now that at this point, the two dog movies are my favorite movies of this era so far.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the first one?
Cinderella, and then it was Alice in Wonderland. Oh, I do really like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought there was another one that I will say 101 Dalmatians is up there. Yeah, this and Alice, I think, are like
pretty close.
The golden tier. Gotcha. This is like where the Silver Age. I'm like, oh, this is what I remember the Silver Age being. This feels Disney.
This feels Disney.
Yeah, the other ones are missing a little bit of that polish. This one feels really well polished. Everything looks great. Does. I love the animation. There's a moment where the dogs are, when we already talked about where they disguise themselves with soot.
Yeah.
And Cruella's driving her creepy ass car around, and the animation is so disturbing. Like how that car moves, how it slides around. Like it doesn't feel real, but it's sinister, and I like it. Even though there's something that feels off about the animation of it, but I don't think it's an error on the animation. I think it makes it even more creepy how that car moves around.
Something about the car, too. There's this one shot when she's rolling around through that little village where they're close up on the front, and they splashed mud. Well, obviously it's painted, but it was very well done, very subtle splash of mud on the front of the car that just made it, for just an instant, a little bit more real. And so it was kind of like the opposite of what you were saying, but it also lended to how sinister it was.
There's a life in there. I love it. Yeah, everything about this movie is great. I honestly do give it 4 stars.
Wow.
I have no issues with it. Yeah. Like I wouldn't say it really is like one of the best movies of all time, but it is perfect. Like it is like, as I said, I had to go and find nitpicks, tiny little things to complain about because that's the kind of person I am. Cruella, great villain. Pongo and Perdita, great, relationship among the dogs there and how they talk, how they handle their kids. Even the fact that all 15 of those puppies had different personalities and were, not all of them are touched upon as much,
right? But
they are all in some way touched upon, and it's nice. It's just a fun movie. This is a perfect one for kids. I can't imagine kids not being thrilled by this film.
Yeah, that's true. I remember enjoying
good family movie.
I remember being kind of afraid of Cruella de Vil and her pink cigarettes that have yellow smoke. Or green, whatever it is.
Yeah, the green smoke. I always thought it was green smoke.
It's definitely a full-faced movie. And you know what? Like you said, I can't really say that there's anything wrong with this movie. But I think my face system also has to go. It's like, it's a show of competence and how much the faceless Leon actually likes this movie. And I don't think I'd give it a face.5 just because I don't think so, because it's not like my favorite movie in the world, but it is a very good movie and I do recommend it very highly. And, it's led to some other very good movies that, we grew up on that were literally coming out when we were kids, the Glenn Close movies. And now another new chapter. And I've enjoyed all interpretations so far.
That is interesting. Like 101 Dalmatians came out when before my dad was even born. Like he grew up with that, the animation.
Yeah.
And then we grew up with live action animation. Like that's just skipped a whole generation before they remade it.
Wow, yeah, sure did.
And now our kids will grow up with Cruella.
Yeah, not that we have any on the way. No abominations to mankind on the way.
No, not from the Green Traveler. No, I don't even know if I could populate with humans.
Well, all I have to really do is cut off my arm, and eventually
he'll grow into a child, right?
Oh shit! Government secrets.
They mentioned that soon, like probably even by the time this episode is out, they'll have released their knowledge on UFOs and ETs and all that fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Who knows how much they're going to redact and like hide away from us, of course. But by the time this is out, my file might be on the internet. You guys might be able to hear about the Green Traveler from Gorsh. Like that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. I won't have to keep it a secret any longer.
I mean, they kept us in the same bunker, as we've said, but they probably won't release my file. There's some dark shit in there.
Like that one, that one, the prom of '95. You remember
that? Hey, I may or may not be legally obligated to not acknowledge or pretend that existed or know what you're talking. I don't know what you're talking. I plead the fifth. I'm the faceless Leon.
And I am the Green Traveler.
Safe travels, and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. If you like the show, please show your support by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. Like, follow, subscribe, wherever you might listen. We also now have a Patreon account. If you feel so inclined to support us in a financial manner, please become a patron by visiting patreon.com/greenandfaceless. You can also find more information about us on our Facebook account or on the FictionWorks 19 Instagram account. Thank you so much for listening.